Gene Hackman recently passed away at the age of 95. He was an extraordinary actor. He has so many great roles, so many great movies on his resume. Gene Hackman, in my opinion, just like James Caan, Clint Eastwood, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, the list goes on and on. Actors from, I would say, the 70s, or I would say before and even during the 70s. He was one of those actors that it gave you that authentic, strong male lead actor, that strong male character that's missing a lot nowadays. Um, but the roles that he played were missing that nowadays. So Gene Hackman always gave me that impression, just like those other actors that I mentioned, that strong male lead character in movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger as well, Sylvester Stallone. Those are the kind of actors that I like, that bring that authenticity, that strong male character, not someone that's like watered down or is basically being put on a leash like what we're seeing nowadays. They're basically male actors are basically um, either they turn feminine or they're making them feminine nowadays. Sorry, not sorry, but I gotta speak the truth. So Gene Hackman was one of those actors. He was just extraordinary. Made so many movies: The French Connection, Mississippi Burning, Lex Luthor. The list goes on and on. But I decided to make a movie review about The French Connection. Why? Because it is one of the best performances of his career. He earned his first Oscar. He ended up winning two, but this was his first Oscar win. And The French Connection is a movie that came out back in 1971, directed by the great William Friedkin. And what's interesting about this movie is that, or I should say a little bit behind the scenes of this movie, is that there were so many other actors that were considered for this role before Hackman: Jackie Gleason, Paul Newman, James Caan. The list goes on and on and on. But Gene Hackman ended up playing the role. Supposedly, Gene Hackman wasn't supposedly that great to work with in this movie. Gene Hackman, he was born in California, but he was raised in a small town in Illinois. He was raised by his grandmother. And he grew up in an environment where he saw racism, he saw mistreatment, and so many other things. And he was having difficulty playing this role because he didn't want to portray or play someone that was basically against with what he stood for. Gene Hackman hated racism. He hated all of the bad things you can think of. He hated all these things. William Friedkin is one of those old school filmmakers that if he would have to act like an a-hole to get the best performance out of you, that's what he's gonna do. And he did that with Gene Hackman in this movie. If you don't believe me, go look it up. It's on YouTube. He talked about how was it like working with Gene Hackman. And although I'm always against of a director or filmmaker not being nice to an actor on set, but there are certain instances, if you want to get a certain reaction out of the actor, you got to do what you got to do. So, and I mean, for example, the Shelley Duvall situation in The Shining. If you guys know the story, then you know what I'm talking about. But William Friedkin did a brilliant job directing this movie and bringing out the best out of Gene Hackman. And you know, there's a reason why this movie did so well. One of the things that I didn't like about the movie is that there were certain parts that felt like so slow, very slow pace. But some of the scenes that I like about this movie are the car chasing scenes. I like the car versus L train scene. That's probably my favorite scene of the movie. Another great scene is the car wait scene. That scene you could feel that it was gritty, it was real, and it has outstanding editing and dialogue. I mean, the movie has great all-around performances by Roy Schneider, Gene Hackman. The list goes on and on. The movie ended up winning 5 Oscars: Best Director, Best Editing, Best Cinematography, Best Screenplay, and Best Leading Actor by Gene Hackman. So The French Connection is a masterpiece film, um, flat out fantastic. God bless Gene Hackman and the great work that he did in this movie and all the other movies that he did as well. My review for The French Connection from 1 through 5, I'll give this a 4.4 out of 5 stars.